Hey everyone, welcome to Fridays with Freddie. We decided to record back to back, Fred, because last week we got on kind of a roll with one use case of higher ed to improve the student experience. Thought, hey, while it's fresh in our mind, let's just record the next one. And so this time I want to talk to you about, and you could set the table here. There's a lot of inefficiency today, whether you're talking about highly selective institutions all the way to open enrollment institutions in the application through onboarding process, orientation and all that. A lot of human touch, a lot of manual stuff, both for the student and for the administrator, and potentially a place where AI can be very impactful for both sides, for the student experience and the staff experience. Any opening thoughts on that? And then we'll dig in on some of the experimenting we're doing.
You know, I used to watch a show about rescuing bars, right?
Oh, yeah.
And remember?
Yeah, bar rescue.
Bar rescue, there you go.
Yeah.
So, but he made a very interesting comment one day. He says, "What business do you think you're in?" And you ask, "Oh, I'm in the bar business. I'm in the restaurant business." I said, "No. You're in the experience business. What you need to manage is the experience, not just the quality of your food, not just the quality of
what your menu is.
Your menu is. You need to manage experience. So for the schools that understand this, and I've seen this, that put a lot of effort into onboarding student, all the administrative stuff. This becomes part of their experience. This becomes part of...
It's your first experience.
It's the first experience, right? And that kind of sets the tone a little bit of, this is where I need to be. This is where I belong. And again, the highly funded schools can do this really, really, really well. They can have dedicated staff and people. For most institutions, there's a lot of friction. Right? It's like, who are you? Prove to me that you are who you are. Are you a resident? Are you in state? Are you out of state? Which of course immediately impacts, what rate you're going to pay. We need information from your parents. We need information from X, Y, and Z, your high school.
From your high school.
Right. So there's a lot of friction there, and some of the friction is not directly technology related. It really is, it's business processes, and the fact that a lot of states just haven't lined up their ducks, right? I'll give you one quick example. There's a school that we work with where the students need to demonstrate that they're a resident of Florida, so therefore they get the in-state tuition. They need to provide physical proof of, okay, show me your parents' utility bill for the last electric bill, or the mortgage contract or the rental contract, etc. The irony, of course, is that the high school that these students went to actually has to, by law, provide a lot of data to Florida State. So they sent all of this information to Florida State. But a lot of times, the schools need to struggle to get that information from the state as well, right? So a process that should be literally seconds
and fully digitized,
fully digitized, now still is a process where the student needs to stand in line physically to go to the college and say, hey, look, I really am.
I am who I am. Yeah.
I am who I am. So there's huge opportunities there for AI to play a role, and then specifically in just dealing with the complexity and creating adaptive workflows, as I call them.
Yeah, one of the things we hear a lot from community colleges and community college presidents is there's a lot of friction around just the application. I mean, these are open enrollment institutions. Anyone can sign up. Yet the application is so cumbersome, it's so detailed, it's so intimidating, it's so long that our data, we've done real research on this, shows that 20 to 30% of the students who start the process don't complete the process. It's a lot of enrollment melt. So while on one side we could talk about an enrollment cliff and demographic cliffs and all these things, but if you've created so much friction on the front end where students who intend to apply and intend to go there aren't going because of all the friction, there's your enrollment problem solved to the tune of 20%. And we're seeing that in real time with schools that are removing the friction on the front end. Their enrollment is going up 8, 10, 15, 18%. It's not because they have better enrollment strategy. They're just removing friction, right? And to that point, this is where AI can become even more powerful. We haven't even applied AI at these schools. We're about to in the next 6 months, but imagine, and that's what I wanted to brainstorm with you is, what are some of the things you can see that can be done to improve the application process powered by AI, and maybe even that orientation onboarding? Because there's a whole different set of issues there. Where do you see AI being applicable there?
I mean, being highly dynamic and adaptive, right?
Hmm.
Number one, it needs to understand what the student wants fairly quickly, and it can go into different directions. So the way I would look at it is, right now you have an application online that's fairly static. It's basically just asking
one size
questions.
fits all.
One size fits all. But if you would walk into, let's say everybody has an admissions counselor that you go to on campus and speaking to, that dynamic would be very different. So, what's your name? What are you interested in?
Yeah.
Great. What do your parents
What school
do?
did you go to?
Well, what school did you go to, etc. Oh my God, I lived in that neighborhood, etc. It's a different dynamic. Now imagine if you could replicate that dynamic digitally with an AI assistant, an AI chatbot. And then, and I hate to use the word chatbot.
Don't use, chatbots are old and broken.
Right,
but
exactly.
We know what you mean. Like what we're talking about is next generation Gen AI powered conversational agents.
Yeah. And if you want to speak to the application, you could do it that way. If you want to use text or chat you could do it that way. But again, adaptive. And then ideally, of course, if there's tasks that need to happen on the administrative side, is that the AI agent itself will trigger workflows that will actually do it for the student instead of asking the student to do it. So, okay, are you ready to apply? Yes. Are you ready to enroll? And then later on,
ready to upload your docs here? Let me take them from you, and then trigger staff with workflows on the back end.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And again, for all the IT folks that are listening, most of you are thinking, yeah, but we already do that. You do, but it's clunky, right? It's clunky.
It's 1990s.
Well, even we don't even have to go to 1990s, Joe. We could go to 15 years ago. It's still building logic rules that need to be built one by one. And it works, but we're going into an era now where AI can start to think about outcomes, and it'll figure out how to get to that outcome. Okay, I need to upload this data, this document, etc., and it's just going to do it. Not magic, but that's the power of what we're seeing now with generative AI and other types of AI, machine learning.
So as it relates to the application, we're imagining a time very soon where I don't have to fill out this cumbersome document or web form or wizard. I'm interacting with my AI agent, and it's guiding me through a set of questions as it gets to know me, and it's customizing my experience right from the beginning of interacting with the institution in a very dynamic, cool way, so that my first impression of your institution is not, oh my gosh, this is a nightmare. It's, wow, that was cool. And everything on the back end got done as well, right? Staff getting notified of all things. Okay, so that's that. Now let's say the student has registered, they've been accepted, and now it's time to orient them to the school. That's another area where we're seeing a tremendous amount of friction. Because again, I think it was Paul LeBlanc who said, right, time is the enemy of the poor, in the sense that it's your lowest income students who are the most likely not to be able to make it to orientation day on campus, to get enrolled and get this done and get that done, because they got other things going on, transportation, blah, blah, blah. So by default, it's not inclusive of an orientation process today at most institutions. Where do you see AI being able to kind of improve the orientation process so I don't have to go to campus and sit there and listen to someone walk me through a 2-hour PowerPoint presentation, and only then can we go and enroll and sit with a human and enroll in classes?
Well, both of us are parents of college-age students. My daughter, my daughter graduated already, but there was one comment she made one day that really stuck out with me. She says, "Look, I really don't want to talk to anybody, and if I talk to somebody, I want that person to have all the answers, right? I don't want to chase answers. You know what? That makes sense, right? And it was a enlightening comment to me, because at the same time we were trying to enable all these people to communicate with students, and we had students, staying like, I don't
want to talk to people,
right? I want to, So I thought that was pretty interesting. So in that regard, again, AI is not a magic box, but AI can deal with all the data that's already out there, right? So if I need to onboard myself with an institution, and the institution has certain requirements of me for the, here's basically checklist items. And again, checklist items have been around forever. But what if the AI cannot just interact with you with, hey, here are the 5-6 things you need to do before you get to class. here are the resources that you need. And oh, by the way, I already have access to your personal calendar. And oh, do you drive a car? Yes or no? Do you need a parking pass? And if you need a parking pass, you go through that process. And then the system should be supplying you with a parking pass instead of you having to, which in a lot of schools is still the case, you need to print out a piece of paper or show your app that says, hey, I'm enrolled for this term. Mr.
Go to the security office.
Go to security. May I please have a parking pass?
Yeah.
That's, these are just information streams. The data is there. We need to connect the data. And AI will have a very interesting use case where that friction can be eliminated almost. You don't drive a car. Okay, you take the bus. Go. We know where you live. Well, here is the best bus for you to take, or public transportation, or subway, or whatever. It sounds like science fiction, Joe.
No, but it's not, though, because at the end of the day, we are seeing AI as the playing field leveler, right? When you look at any demographic group of students entering your institution, to your point from last week's podcast, whether they're older or younger or whichever socioeconomic class they come from, the more disadvantaged they are, the more they're going to benefit from some of these AI innovations.
Correct.
Because to your point, the more successful kids whose parents went to college, they'll figure all this stuff out. But what about those students that you're targeting who don't have that advantage? AI is going to become that powerful assistant, support, coach, mentor, guide to make sure your student experience is better. That's what I think we're getting excited about.
Yeah. And using myself as an example, I went to college after the military. So I had a certain sense of self and agency after the military where administrative processes at a college didn't intimidate me at all, right? But for most students, it is. It's an intimidating, it's frustrating, it's intimidating, etc. So to your point, at a lot of institutions, yes, this can become
a game changer.
And level the playing field.
As everyone is worried about enrollment and everyone's worried about filling seats, we believe, and we're seeing early proof of it, it's double-digit improvement in your revenue stream as you put some of this stuff in. If you think about it smart, to your point from last time, do the work, do the due diligence, set up the governance, have your point of view, and then start selecting products that are really going to transform the student experience, not just what some salesperson says will. There's some amazing stuff coming ahead for higher education.
And the art and science will be, for my IT folks, the ones that buy the apps, build the apps, manage the apps. They actually know this. Look, there's a lot of work that needs to happen, but at the same time, if you start seeing what these systems can do and you start future casting, visioning where you could go, it's pretty amazing, right? I mean, and if you can enable a digital agent, a digital personal assistant, basically at a campus level, then why couldn't this digital agent already start to exist in a mobile fashion, for example, for students who are interested in a particular college? So when you're 2 years before you even graduate, you can download the University of Miami digital assistant, etc., who could start to get to know you to prepare you, so that by the time that you want to go, right, it'll be a marketing tool, it'll be an engagement tool, it'll be
it's a seamless experience, Fred. It's
right.
How early can you start a seamless experience with a prospective student and have that same experience take them all the way through graduation and alumni relations? That requires the industry-specific LLM and institution-specific trained agents that create that experience versus these jumpy, fractioned experiences that our students are experiencing now.
So the paradox is that once you melt away that infrastructure, the technology infrastructure, the human connections can really begin.
That's awesome. That's what we're looking to do. All right, Fridays with Freddy. Hopefully we got you thinking and visioning with us, and we'll see you all next week.